What is your response to targeting operations that hit schools, hospitals, and civilian areas? And why did you reduce the unit that would help you minimize civilian casualties by 90%? Hegseth. We have a steel-strong commitment to do more than other countries. Gillibrand paused. A commitment as strong as steel. But you fired your team. April 30th, 2026. Senate Armed Services Committee. Gillibrand brought two issues to the table in the same hearing that morning. First, 2 out of 3 Americans are against this war. So, was Congress consulted? Secondly, a girls' school in Iran was bombed, killing 165 children. The Civil Protection Unit was restricted by 90%. If you watch this video until the end, you will understand why the ironclad commitment answer seems so empty. This was the session in which Hegseth came to the Senate on the second day of his 2-day congressional marathon. A day earlier, he had clashed with Adam Smith, Seth Moulton, Pat Ryan, and Mark Kelly in the House of Representatives. Now it was the Senate's turn, and Gillibrand's questions were a natural continuation of the agenda that had accumulated from the previous day. Public support. Opening. Gillibrand started directly. I don't know if you fully appreciate how little public support there is for this war. This is an unauthorized war. And normally, when you come to Congress, this is a way for Americans to make their voices heard. Why didn't you try to get the support of the Americans? 3 out of 5 Americans are against this war today. Hegseth replied, I believe we have public support. We have given regular briefings on what the mission looks like and why it is critically important. Gillibrand. I don't know which New Yorkers I spoke with. It is my job to represent you, and I can tell you that when I talk to them across the state, they are angry. Representing you is my duty, and I can tell you that when I talk to them across the state, they are angry. Secret session card. Hegseth opened a defensive line. I appreciate this closed session because we had a very different discussion here than the one we had with the cameras on. This was a standard cabinet defense tactic. What is said behind closed doors is more realistic. This is not a performance in front of the cameras. Gillibrand denied this. My job is to represent my New Yorkers, and I can tell you they are angry. They expect me to explain why they are angry. This exchange reflected a fundamental difference in attitude about the limits of public accountability. AI and nuclear targeting. Gillibrand moved on to another topic. Do you think we should allow artificial intelligence to make final targeting decisions regarding the use of nuclear weapons? The question points to a critical defense policy debate due to the rapidly growing role of automation in modern military systems, as the extent to which the human decision-making mechanism is preserved in the use of nuclear weapons has become one of the most sensitive and debated topics in today's security strategies. Hegseth didn't directly say, no, artificial intelligence won't make nuclear decisions. Instead, he spoke in generalities. Gillibrand conveyed the stance of her Senate colleague Tim Kaine. Legislation is not supportive of this. This exchange was particularly highlighted in Al Jazeera's comprehensive coverage that day. Civil Protection Unit, 90%. And at this point, the situation took a different turn. Gillibrand moved to the Center for Excellence in Disaster Management and Humanitarian Assistance. The unit was set up to learn lessons from civilian casualties in past U.S. conflicts in Afghanistan and Iraq, and apply that experience to future operations. Gillibrand said, this unit was cut by 90%. According to reports by Al Jazeera and PBS NewsHour, Hegseth confirmed that this restriction occurred, but explained it with the rationale of rationalization or efficiency. Gillibrand's question was, what is your response to targeting operations that hit schools, hospitals, and civilian areas? And why did you cut the unit that would allow you to reduce civilian casualties by 90%? Hegseth. We have a steel-strong commitment to do more than other countries. Hegseth. We have a steel-strong commitment to do more than other countries. Steel-strong commitment in the girls' school. Hegseth's steel strong commitment response became the most quoted expression of that morning. But this commitment had to be evaluated in a context. According to AP reports, in the early days of the war, a U.S. attack occurred on a girls' elementary school in the Minab district of Iran. More than 165 people were killed, most of them children. The Pentagon attributed the incident to outdated and faulty intelligence data. During this process, the capacity of the Civil Defense Unit was also limited by approximately 90%. Gillibrand was asking these things together. You fired your team. Then 165 children died. How does a steely commitment explain this? How do you explain a commitment as strong as steel? Republican question, rounds. There was a noteworthy detail in the week's news. Gillibrand's question about civilian casualties was supported not only by Democrats, but also by Republican Senator Mike Rounds. Rounds continued Gillibrand's line of questioning. This was one of the rare moments in the hearing that transcended partisan lines. And this support weakened Hegseth's framing of this Democratic propaganda effort. Unauthorized war, constitutional dimension. Gillibrand's opening frame was this. This is an unauthorized war. This was a technically controversial but extremely important constitutional issue. Because although the authority to declare war theoretically belongs to Congress, in modern U.S. practice, the executive branch has increasingly taken direct control of military force usage over time. The War Powers Resolution of 1973 granted the president limited military operation authority without congressional approval. But fundamental questions remained unresolved, such as at what point this period was effectively exceeded and whether Congress would go through the formal approval process. Gillibrand combined this constitutional debate with the question of public support. Daily, $1 billion. Gillibrand also brought the financial aspect to the agenda. $1 billion a day. This war has cost $5 billion so far. This figure was correct. The Pentagon confirmed it to the public in the week's report. Gillibrand asked, "You want Americans to pay billion a day for this war? Or $2 billion? You're asking for another $200 billion." Hegseth replied, "I don't know where you got that number. I suggest you be careful when reading the news. This purchase is also part of the record." The strategic failure argument. Kirsten Gillibrand reminded Pete Hegseth of the difference between tactical success and strategic success by asking him whether an operation, despite appearing to fulfill its mission on the ground, could fail in achieving larger goals due to civilian casualties, and questioned whether he was aware of the cost of this. This approach paralleled Adam Smith's argument made a day earlier that tactical gain does not mean strategic success. While Hegseth's response of ironclad commitment did not directly address this fundamental question. The bigger picture of the Senate debate. This session was the final part of a 2-day marathon. According to the week's analysis, Senator Elissa Slotkin pointed out that the Strait of Hormuz is still closed. Senator Gary Peters said tactical gains are meaningless without political conditions. Republican Senator Roger Wicker rarely agreed with this view. Gillibrand's questions tied them all to the civilian side. The school bombing, the 90 personnel cuts, and the ironclad commitment contradiction. Permanent record. The April 30th, 2026 Senate hearing was extensively documented by Al Jazeera, PBS NewsHour, AP, The Week, and KSAT. Gillibrand's Civil Defense Unit 90% question on record. Hegseth's ironclad commitment response is on record. The discussion on artificial intelligence and nuclear targeting is on record. Billion a day financial framework on the record. And the Republican rounds continuing to ask questions in the same vein is on the record. Result: a commitment as strong as steel. Gillibrand combined two questions that morning. Public approval. 2 in 3 Americans oppose this war. Has Congress approved it? Civil protection.
165 children lost their lives. The Civil Protection Unit was restricted by 90%. Where is the commitment? Hegseth responded to both with the same answer. We have a rock-solid commitment. But the team behind the commitment is gone, and the concrete result of the commitment, an attack on a girls' school that claimed the lives of 165 children. This contradiction is on the congressional record.